Paying for sex. This video is a follow-up to a previous video I made about lust. When I said if you're really lustful and you're backed up and you have a lot of desires, I recommend masturbating to get it out of your system and to clear your mind. Because a lot of times when we're filled with lust, we engage in frivolous, meaningless sex with someone, and we call and text people we shouldn't, and that leads to an unhealthy relationship, and that hurts our life and it hurts our growth. So rather than engaging in meaningless sex with people that leads to unhealthy relationships, you're better off just masturbating, taking care of yourself, clearing your mind, and moving forward. So a lot of people agreed. Some people said, I don't care, I want the real thing, etc., etc. That's fine. We all have our different ways of living. One viewer said, Sam, I kind of agree with you, but I would like your opinion on what do you think about paying for sex, such as prostitutes, escorts, massage parlors, etc. So I want to reply to that viewer. Thank you for the comment. My overall mindset is I don't agree with paying for sex via prostitutes, escorts, etc. Now I understand I kind of argue, well, we all pay for sex. When you date, you pay for sex because you're courting someone, you're spending money on movies, on dinner. That's true. But that's a different context of paying for sex. You're paying to court someone, to build a relationship, or you're paying to, seduce them so you can sleep with them. That's unhealthy. I recommend masturbating rather than doing that. And if you're paying for food, dinner, etc. to court them to be in a relationship, then that's a different scenario. If you're paying for sex solely for the act, solely for having sex with someone, then telling them to leave, I want to address that. Charlie Sheen, I believe, who was caught in a prostitution exchange, said that he was paying the prostitute not to come and have sex with him, but he was paying the prostitute to leave after they had sex. When you pay for sex, you're not just paying for the act, you're paying that person realizes it's an agreement and they leave. There's no strings attached. The problem with that is you put yourself in an unhealthy environment. I often talk about put yourself in a healthy environment and that's how you grow. Put yourself in an unhealthy environment and that's how you get hurt. When you're dealing with prostitution, I've been there. When I was young and immature, I went to all the strip clubs. There was actually a prostitution house in Newark, New Jersey. We went there a few times. I'm in Florida. When we went to Miami for a bachelor party, there's prostitutes all over there. And, we engaged in a little bit. I didn't, but there was some. What I'm trying to say is I understand that environment. And some people, even some prostitutes, do it as willingly and they want to engage in that. But overall, you feed the beast. You feed an unhealthy cycle, not just for yourself, putting yourself in a bad position in bad places with not bad people, but just a bad environment. And on the other end, it also feeds the beast, meaning it feeds a breeding ground for possible abuse of women and for an unhealthy cycle for a certain part of society. Now, specifically, if the area you live in, it's illegal, you have bigger problems. Anytime you place yourself doing something illegally, you're going to make your life potentially harder. Say you go to, you're a good guy, you're a good girl, you pay to go have sex, and it's an undercover officer. Do you really want to go to court, the next month and, face a judge and say, you got caught in prostitution. How do you want to deal with it? You could lose your job, etc., etc. So if it's illegal, I think that should take it pretty much off the board for the most part. Now, nobody's a saint, so I understand, but that's a big component. Now, there's certain parts in America that it's legal. I believe Las Vegas has certain districts that it's legal, and certainly in different countries it's legal. But certainly if you look at those areas, that's also a breeding ground for abuse, possibly of women, and just an unhealthy environment. Not necessarily abuse, but it just hurts a level of society. And most people caught, Lamar Odom also caught in one of those bunny houses in Las Vegas a couple years ago. It was a bad environment that enabled him to do bad behavior, which eventually hurt him. Can you get away with it once, twice, etc.? Yes, but you are putting yourself in a bad environment where you can not only have problems with the law, but even if it's legal, you will engage in unhealthy behavior long term. And it could feed an unhealthy cycle. You're better off masturbating to relieve yourself. What about escorts? Escorts are a higher grade of prostitution, but still same thing. How many politicians and everything else you see get caught in these type of things? And it's And it's just disgraceful, bottom line. I mean, and you're better off addressing it. Look, we all have sexual desires. No shame in that. And if you want to be in a relationship and you both agree to have sex, I mean, do your thing. But for the most part, just masturbate. Get it out of your system. It's net effective, the same thing. Some people say, I want the real thing. Yeah, okay. But at the end of the day, masturbation, having an orgasm by yourself or with somebody else, your physical reaction is the same exact thing. And people don't want to address it, but that's why also you see society over and over again, people get exposed of being a sexual predator, sexual harassment, engaging in illegal sexual acts. Why? Because people don't address the issue and say, hey, look, it's a real thing. There's no shame in having sexual, lustful desires. We have to be mindful, though, of how we react to that. Okay, because there's knowledge and then there's emotion. If you understand certain things, but you let your emotions take control, that emotion suppresses that knowledge. Massage parlors. Same thing. I mean, they could be illegal. I know certain people that go to the Asian massage parlor get a happy ending, and those places get raided from time to time. So they're tempting for all of us, but it just leads, on average, down a bad road. If you want to try to do whatever you want, do whatever you want. It's your life. Sharing my opinion based on a comment I got in a previous video, asked me to address paying for sex specifically. If it's illegal, I say just take it off the board. Even if it's legal, I would lean against it at this point in my life. I was once immature and did immature things, but once you know better, you do better. And the point of life is to grow and evolve. And certainly as you get older and older, sexual desires may get less, and it's a different season of life. So it's all relative to the part in your life you are. And for men and women, that may also be a different level of sex drive, depending on who you are. Men may have more, et cetera, et cetera. But the overall answer is always place yourself whenever possible in the healthiest, best environment. Placing yourself in a negative, unhealthy environment long-term will hurt you. So you need to be mindful anytime you engage in prostitution, escorts, anything that is definitely illegal is a no-go. It's a bad thing for the most part. And even if it's legal, probably going to lead down a bad place. I want to address that head on specifically. Again, no shame in having lust. But we need to try to handle it well. It's not easy. We all fail. And I say, God bless. Do your best. Do whatever you want. Stay safe and try to stay positive and stay inspired. Okay?